don't care where you coming from. It doesn't matter the language you speak. Tribal differences and religion. Born in this town makes no sense. Nigeria people get sense. I say make we get sense. We were first human beings before 1914 amalgamation. Remember how we used to live in peace before the coming of this wicked politics. Nigerian people get sense. I say make we get sense. Na lie, na lie, na lie. We no go fight. Na lie, na lie. 'Cause we are one people. Na lie, na lie. They want us to fight. Na lie, na lie. But now we are wise. Na lie, na lie. We no go fight. Na lie, na lie. 'Cause we are one people. Na lie, na lie. They want us to fight. Na lie, na lie. We are all equal before the Creator. None of us should be superior. We've got one life to live. Why don't we live it together in peace? Nigeria people get sense. I say make we get sense. Na lie, na lie, na lie. We no go fight. Na lie, na lie. 'Cause we are one people. Na lie, na lie. They want us.
All right, thank you very much. That one is titled One People, and it's a music video by King Faj. Remember, it's a song that is trying to enjoin us all as Nigerians to be one people, shun violence, election is around the corner, be patriotic, and of course, you know, the gospel of the election. This is the Medley Show, and my name is Cecile Egbele. And for the next 1 hour, we're going to just do a wrap-up of election activities. And today we've titled this one, Election 2023, Crossing the T's and Dotting the I's. So, of course, that's what we'll be talking about. Now, for 2 weeks now, we've been talking about elections. We've had Festus Okoye, the INEC National Commissioner, come on. We've had some senior directors from INEC come on to talk to you. And more of your messages kept coming week after week, even when we had repeat episodes of the program. So today on the program, we won't take messages. We'll try to see how we can clean up and answer as many of your questions from the last 2 episodes as much as possible, and see how we can run through it. You know, going to looking through the program, some of your messages. Some questions were a little tricky, and I asked myself, if you ask me, now who I go ask? Well, today I have somebody where I go ask some of these questions. I'm talking about the media officer with Yaga Africa, Moshood Issa. Thank you, Moshood, for coming around.
Thank you very much for hosting me. It's an honor to be here. Thanks.
Yes, by the way, I must also congratulate Yaga. I mean, election after election, you've always been on top of it, giving us blow-by-blow account, trying to make sure everybody follow, try to be the link between the people, INEC officials, observers, and everything. You're doing a good job.
For God and country. Thank you.
For God and country. All right, so you know what? Come up on election day and do this also for God and country. Very important. All right, like I said, we have so many questions. We are going to see how we can tidy up. But before I start taking your questions, let me ask you. It's just a couple of days. Hours, rather.
Yeah.
We're counting them by the hours. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, how ready would you say we are? INEC, we the voters, I mean, observers, everybody involved.
Yeah, importantly, everyone has to be ready for we to have a successful election. And the commission had confirmed that they've implemented 12 out of 14 activities they've lined up for the election. And it started right from last year, 25th February, when they announced that election will hold on 25th February 2023. And it started with it had started with the continuous voters registration, display claims and objections, party primaries, litigations for pre-election matters, collection of PVCs, and a host of other activities. And then we are here. We have 2 activities left. suspension of campaigns, and then, of course, the election day proper. So for the commission, I would say they've been religiously following all this list of timeline and implementing it to the best of their ability. Of course, we wouldn't say it has been seamless, but of course, to a reasonable extent. And with regard to the prevailing situation of the country, I think the commission had been able to follow religiously the list of activities. But of course, it has to be in collaboration with security agency, because no matter how much the commission prepares, if there are security gaps,
going to ask that.
Yeah, so it has to be in strict collaboration with security agency, and I'm sure there have been consistent meetings with the what we call the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security, and it's led by the IG and the INEC chairman. Okay,
let me ask you about some of the fears of people. Is it possible that on Friday, maybe, today, the security officials will just come and tell us that there is some serious security scare, we're not going to have this election? Is there any body language to that effect?
So we are 24 years into democracy. We've surmounted a lot of challenges, terrorism and all that. At this point in time, I want to be cautiously optimistic that election will hold on Saturday, because we've been planning for this for the last 1 year.
I am joining my faith with yours. I am very, very hopeful and optimistic too. Now, you are a media officer, Yaga, so your relations with the media, how ready are we?
Yeah, so of course we've been having a good relationship, not just with the media, but other election stakeholders. We've been paying advocacy visits. We've been sharing our deployment plans with key stakeholders, INEC, police, Human Rights Commission, National Broadcasting Commission, the Nigerian Orientation Agency, you know, the major election stakeholders, to share our deployment plan, tell them the kind of information we'll be putting out, and explore areas of collaboration, not just with those stakeholders, but of course we also had a roundtable with the media, and then to share our deployment plan and what we expect from the media, especially around data-driven reportage of the elections.
Mashood, welcome to the age of social media, where everybody can just spread one news. Next thing, every media house outlet want to be the first to break the news, and suddenly we break it and realize that, whoops, this is not true. I'll not try to do damage control. Are you worried, like some of us are, that some of this fake news, or news that can actually trigger some negative reaction, will trend?
Yeah, so from our experience observing election and, of course, on the social media terrain, we've seen that many times. But, of course, I expect Nigerians are responsible enough to know the right communication channel, the right media houses. For instance, you don't expect NTA, for instance, to share fake news. There are some major media houses that you do not expect them to share this kind of information. So as a responsible Nigeria, you should know the appropriate channels to actually look out to when it comes to election information. Now, as it is now, if you just have a phone and data, you're by default a media house. Yes, because you have a social media account, you have a blog. So I don't expect Nigerians to just randomly pick information anywhere. Well, we have the appropriate channels. Even the INEC itself have their website, their Twitter handles, their Facebook handles. I think those are reliable source of information during election period.
Okay, well, when we get back we're going to take a break now, a feature break. When we get back, you talk about where we can fact check some of this information before putting it out there. And when you mentioned that you trust Nigerians are not going to consume this, I don't know if you were in this country when some days ago some circular supposedly originating from the CBN trended, and voila, it was everywhere. CBN had to come in to beg people to say it is not from us. So, but anyway, pause your thoughts on that. Let's get to meet the 18 candidates running for presidential election in this forthcoming election.
The 2023 Nigerian general elections begin this weekend with the presidential and National Assembly elections. There is excitement, anticipation, and expectations in the atmosphere, especially for the presidential elections. According to INEC website, there are 18 candidates running for the office of the president, alongside another 18 candidates running as their vice, making a total of 36. Let's take a look at the presidential candidates. Aside from the presidential elections, over 1,000 candidates will be contesting for 109 senatorial seats at the National Assembly, and over 3,000 candidates are contesting for 360 seats at the Federal House of Representatives. Voting for your preferred candidates requires you having a voter's card and showing up at your polling unit on election day.
At least you know that there are 18 candidates running for the office of the president. So I know if I ask many of you to name 5, okay, 7. I don't think, you know, the other day we asked people to name 5 political parties and their logos. I think people could basically know 3. The highest we got was 1 or 2 persons who say, okay, they know up to 4. Well, of course, you know the reason why. I mean, we have 2 of the major parties that have been running for positions. Then now we have what many have called the third force. Yes, and we have, you know, so
probably the fourth force.
Fourth force. I mean, I just like drama somehow. I just want that some surprise does come. One guy who doesn't know, suddenly they don't tell us that man, this guy is rising to be like the 3rd highest. Anyhow, this is me just thinking. All right, fact checking, Moshood. Is there a site you want to, is there somewhere where individuals and organizations can fact check some of these information, data, and news before getting it out?
Yeah, so basically as soon as I see an information, what I do and what everyone should do within themselves is to ask, is this even possible first within yourself? Is this possible? Then who is the appropriate channel? Is this information related to election? INEC is responsible. If this information is related to the cash or Naira, CBN, you look at their website or their social media handle, there are official communication platforms where you can easily see this information. But of course, a lot of lazy journalism out there, a lot of people that are just immediately triggered as soon as they see
break the news.
Information. Yeah,
I'm the first person to break the news.
And then before you know it, of course, we know Nigerians, as soon as they just see an information, they are also anxious to share, because when something is unusual, you're also anxious to share because you're also wondering, how did this happen? So you're also anxious to share, and before you know, this thing spread. But assuming the first person that sees that information does a fact check, goes to the appropriate channel, there are also a lot of fact checking sites out there, a lot of people doing fact checking out there. You can easily verify this information out there, or go to official handles of these organizations, agencies that are responsible for this information. And if you cannot find it there, then you should begin to doubt those information. All
right, so we have quite a number of questions, so I'll just take like 3 and you knock them off very quickly. This person is, please, is there going to be vehicular movement on election day? If yes, from when to when? Thank you. This is Matthew from Apo. Then this person, my name is Otabe Tanko from Abuja. How about if we're not able to finish voting on Saturday? Will we come back on Sunday to vote? Now let's take a third one now. If I lost or misplaced my PVC on the day of election, on the day that election is taking place, what should I do?
Okay, for vehicular movement, I usually expect that the Nigerian police, 24 hours before the elections, they usually announce if there will be vehicular movement. But the trend has been, it's only accredited vehicles that are allowed to move on election day. Say you're an election observer group and you have a vehicle, then you have a tag that shows on election duty. Those are the vehicles that are allowed to move on election day. So for vehicular movements, I know usually restricted for those on election duty alone. So for the person that misplaces his PVC on the day of election, sorry, no PVC, no voting. You cannot vote without your PVC. Okay. Yes.
Yes, so before you take up the third one, when you're talking PVC, I have a friend who said that an INEC staff who is a friend of a friend, yeah, said that you can use your TVC, and I'm shocked, like, because I've asked the INEC guys who came on the program, and they said no. So I'm wondering how an INEC staff is saying, insofar as you have your VIN, which is already on your TVC, you can use it. I mean, Mashood.
So the so-called INEC staff or whoever is not an official source. You already know where to get official source official information when it comes to INEC. The beavers can only scan the barcode on your PVC. So that is why it's only your PVC that you can use to vote on election day. For the person that says if you're not done voting on Saturday, we've seen situations where either security reasons, for whatever reason, elections are being cancelled in certain polling unit, or election could not hold in certain polling unit. And typical example was in Anambra 2021 in Ihiala local government. Election could not hold in that local government because of insecurity, and then the election was moved to, I think, Tuesday, and it's more like a supplementary election at that time. But of course, the ideal thing is when people come out to queue, as soon as it is 2:30, the presiding officer or the security officer will stay at the back of the last person on the queue. So everybody on the queue as at 2:30 is allowed to vote, but no one is allowed to join the queue after 2:30.
Yeah, I like the beauty of this one. Unlike before, when you do your accreditation, you go home and you now come back. Yeah. Right now, when you get your accreditation, so you don't have any reason. You have
8:30 to 2:30.
8:30, 9:30, 10:30, 11:30. I mean, come on now. But even if you want to take a nap at home, you'll be back on. You should be able to get there before 2:30. All right, who is this now? Yusuf from Koto Karfi in Kogi State. He says, "What is the fate of an illiterate who don't know how to vote?" One. Another person, Benjamin from Abuja, is asking. I mean, I wouldn't even read this question. Kason. Not up to 18 votes, no, so skip that. Can INEC do anything about these politicians who send text messages to people soliciting for their votes and promising to give them money in return? They also request for account numbers for where to pay the money into. Is that not part of vote buying? Please, I need your comments. All right, let's take one more. Okay, this one more would have to do with the 240 polling units where there are no voters. So what's the fate of that? What's going to happen about it? So let's take this quickly.
Okay, for a perceived not learned or illiterate that cannot, that doesn't know how to thumbprint. First is, at this point in time, there are a lot of illustrative expose on how to actually thumbprint, the valid way to actually handle the ballot paper. It's all over either social media, TV, or radio. Politicians are also advising or doing illustrative way of telling people how to actually thumbprint. But the beauty about this is also on election day, the presiding officer is supposed to come out and explain the voting procedure, what is supposed to happen on that day. And then the ideal thing again is, there's also nothing wrong in asking the presiding officer, how do I go about this? This is the ballot paper. You are just supposed to thumbprint beside the political party or the logo of the political party you'd actually be voting for. Again, there are also opportunities in a situation where it is very, very difficult, that there is no way to go about it. It's allowed that aged people or people visually impaired, people that cannot read the braille ballot, bring someone from home that they trust. Who can actually guide them on how to actually thumbprint. So this should actually not be a major issue on election day.
Have you heard about the vote buying thing, sending those?
Yeah, so the question around vote buying, if you have what the law says about vote buying, that it has to be within certain perimeters of the polling units. And again, but if you have substantial evidence that this is actually vote trading, because it says that if the politicians or whoever take any action that would influence people to take certain decisions, that would influence people to vote for certain candidates that ordinarily they probably wouldn't have actually voted for, then that is actually considered as voter inducement.
What should I do?
Again, if you have a substantial evidence that this is actually vote buying, there are law enforcement agents. The EFCC is now part of the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security, and we've seen also the ICPC at polling units actually ensuring that this kind of vote trading doesn't happen on election day. But again, politicians are politicians, but then there are actions being taken to actually prevent or arrest vote buyers on election day.
This is Nigeria. So, but, you know, this is Nigeria, but we need to get it right. I mean, we need to get better at this thing. I mean, it said 24 years democracy.
Yes.
Yeah, so, I mean, come on, we should be getting better now. Anyhow, when we get back, I still have a few more questions to ask you about that. But very quickly, some people have been asking, even though videos have been everywhere, teaching you or telling you how to thumb print. It should not pass the lines between the party line and so many of these things. Anyhow, we went on the street and actually practically went to meet people to ask them if they actually know how to thumb print. So Iberi put this one together. Let's have a look at it.
This is a visual representation of a ballot paper, and this is the ink. So we will go around to more like the practical aspect of the question. Do you even know how to vote? Do you know how to do your thumb printing? Because these are the things that could make your vote invalid. Let's go. You have to just take one and do the thumb print and fold it. So, yes. Okay. Thank you so much. What's your name again?
Samosera.
Okay, Samosera, thank you so much. It was really great to have you now. It was really great to have you. But the question is, did she do it well? Let's see.
Yeah, I prefer you to use this.
Okay.
Drop it.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Pius. Mr. Pius just casted his vote. So let's take a look. Did he get it? Let's look. Let's see. Okay. Okay, Miss Hafzat is done casting her votes. The moment of truth is here. Let's take a look. Okay. So what do you think? This was so amazing, and I had an encounter with the most amazing individuals. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you so much. And I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I look forward to seeing you in your polling units. Bye.
Despite all the materials going around telling you how to vote, it's still surprising that some people still cross the line and they still fold it the other way. I mean, what are we not doing enough?
Well, not everyone has access to all those information, but I think it's actually not difficult to actually thumbprint and fold the right way. And the essence of folding the right way is so that the ink would not smear into
folding the right way
columns.
means folding like this.
Yes. Is it vertical? Yes, something like
this.
Yes.
Not horizontal,
not like this,
not this way. Okay.
Just so you could, again, so that when you're done putting it into the ballot box, your choice is not visible to people out there.
I know. I noticed some people they folded and folded and folded and folded and folded. It's secret because I don't want anybody to see it. I have to
so
make
that's
sure.
not entirely necessary. The ink might smear into other
I
parts. And
I know. And also, since it's our 10 fingers that has been recognized, so if I have a very big thumb, I can try to use my index or even this one.
Yeah, as far as
it doesn't. Yes. So I mean, please don't. We want as minimal invalid votes as possible.
And then just to add, if for any reason you spoiled your ballot paper before it goes into the ballot box, you can go back to the presiding officer and request a new ballot paper.
For instance, I mistakenly see that, oh, my finger crossed over.
As far as it hasn't gone into the ballot box, you can go back to the presiding officer and request a new ballot paper. It's called spoiled ballots. So it's different from rejected ballots. Rejected ballots are the ballot papers that went into the ballot box. In the essence, in the point of counting, we noticed they were rejected. The choice of the voter is not clear. But the spoiled ballots, even at the point of tearing it out of the ballot, the papers itself, and maybe it mistakenly got torn, it's called spoiled ballots. And in the process of trying to thumbprint, maybe for some reason the paper got damaged, or for some reason, in fact, as far as it hasn't gotten into the ballot box, you can go back to request a new one. Every polling unit usually gets an extra bulk of ballot papers, for this purpose.
Just like they will have an extra beavers.
Yes, not necessarily an extra beavers. A polling unit that has more than 750 registered voters usually have more than one beavers, and of course more personnel to actually manage those beavers.
Now, someone was telling me that the way vote buying is done is, I'm a party agent, and I tell you that I make sure when you're folding it, I see you fold it in a way that I see. I'll be in one corner, I'll be watching you. I make sure you fold it in a way that I see that you have voted for my party. So when you come out, it gives me the money. Yeah,
so that's the role of security agents, to ensure that voting is entirely secret, and there is also restriction in where party agents should actually be. They should actually not be close to either the cubicle or the
Can I take my phone into the cubicle?
You can take your phone to the polling unit, but not the voting cubicle. That has been banned in the last few years to prevent you from snapping your ballot papers as evidence.
All right, let's go. Can the beavers detect overvoting? That is one question. Now, for those of you asking questions about, I've transferred, I've not collected my PVC. Oh my God, I can't find my name. INEC official did not give me my PVC. I'm sorry, I understand. It's really sad. I mean, I feel really, really sad about it. But I'm sorry, the election is upon us. There's nothing we can do. And like we heard already, after the elections, the INEC could tell us when we can start continuous voters registration. All right, I just asked one question, if the beavers can detect overvoting. So let me see if I can take one or two more. Good afternoon, I'm Nuhu Ukasha from Kefi State. My question goes thus. Beavers has any room for alteration of results? Does the beavers have any room for alteration of results that is directly obtained from the voters? Okay, just take those two.
Okay, can beavers detect overvoting? Yes, beavers can detect overvoting. So even at the process of accreditation, a presiding officer decide to sideline the beavers or manipulate or bring someone that is not supposed, that wasn't accredited properly and issue the ballot paper to that person. In the process of counting, the beavers only takes a number of those that have been accredited. So in the process of counting, the total number of vote casts has to be the same with the total number of accredited voters on the beavers. And the accreditation is not something you do manually or you impute. So it has to be done automatically, and it's done based on those that were accredited successfully. So if at the end the total number of vote casts is more than the total number of accredited voters, then there's already overvoting, and results from that polling unit will be automatically cancelled. So the beavers can actually detect overvoting. Okay,
then the other question on the other question from Nuhu in Kefi State. Beavers and alteration of result. I think that's still in line with.
So results are counted manually at the polling units. After elections, results are sorted into piles for different political parties. And of course, in the presence of everyone, you would announce, oh, this ballot paper, party A, you sort it. This is for party B, you sort it in different piles. You also sort the rejected ballot in different piles. So all this in total is total number of actually votes cast. So this is also counted in the presence of everyone, all the party agents. Of course, party agents have opportunity to ask for a recount once, and the presiding officer can oblige them. But after everything is being counted, these results are imputed on the form EC8A, the result sheets. After it's being imputed, the result is snapped and uploaded to what we call the INEC result viewing portal. So this is done at the presence of everyone.
The beavers is used to snap it.
The beavers is used to snap the result sheet and upload it on the INEC result viewing portal. So it's very difficult to actually do any form of alteration at that point in time, because the counting and the imputation is done in the presence of everyone at the polling unit. And the same result is actually posted on the wall, on the what we call the people's result. It's posted at the polling unit for everyone to see. Same result has actually been uploaded on the result viewing portal.
So as much as possible, it says a whole lot of free and fairness.
Yeah, transparency, so to
that's the language.
And just to add that, say after the result is uploaded to the result viewing portal, the manual result is supposed to be taken to the Ward Collation Center. If for any reason there is discrepancy between the manual results taken to the collation center, maybe before you get to the collation center, some things happen, the result that has been uploaded on the IREV would actually take precedence over
that hard copy.
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Mashood. You are doing a very great job answering our questions. We appreciate it. And Mashood is from Yaga Africa, for those of you who missed it earlier. And Yaga Africa has done a whole lot in this election period. And like in previous episodes of the program, we are going to be taking a look at one of the Yaga production in collaboration with the UNDP, Election 101 with Samson Itodu. And this one we're going to see is how to handle a ballot paper.
Welcome to Elections 101 in 5, the show that provides you with useful tips and guides on how to vote, but not who to vote. This show is brought to you by Yaga Africa and supported by the UNDP. My name is Samson Itodo. Let's get started. Today, let's talk about voting properly or correctly and ensuring that your vote is valid. So we ask, how do you handle the ballot paper after thumb printing on the ballot paper? And here is how some Nigerians responded to that question.
That one, I don't understand them. Anyhow, if you do it, because nobody our work.
On election day, after I cast my vote, the ballot paper, I will just fold it in a way that you cannot excuse.
Interesting responses. Your decision on election day is made on the ballot paper. For this, the ballot paper should be treated with utmost care. Before entering the voting booth or the cubicle to cast your vote, the election official will hand you a ballot paper for each of the election held on that day. When you're inside the cubicle or the voting booth and you've cast your vote, you must fold the ballot paper in a way that your freshly marked decision does not get smeared on the other sides of the paper. You must ensure that the ink on the ballot paper where you have thumb printed does not spill over to another section of the ballot paper. Every voter needs to follow and adhere to the procedure for voting, especially as provided by INEC. And if this is not done correctly, then the implication is that the vote will not be valid. Please, it's important to note that before the presiding officer issues you a ballot paper, the presiding officer will pre-fold the ballot paper and issue the ballot paper to you to go into the cubicle and thumbprint on the ballot. And once you've thumbprinted on the ballot, before you insert the ballot paper in the ballot box, ensure you fold the ballot paper the same way and manner that the ballot paper was issued to you, because the ballot paper will be pre-folded by the presiding officer before issuing it to you. So carefully ensure that you also fold the ballot paper in the manner it was pre-folded before it was issued to you. Now, it is important to note that on election day, there could be 3 or 2 ballot boxes. And in each of these ballot boxes, you are required to insert separate ballot papers in those ballot boxes. But note to fold the ballot papers carefully so that your thumbprint will not smear or will not spill and taint or stain the ballot paper in a way that it makes it difficult for the presiding officer to determine the choice that you have made on your ballot paper. So voters are advised against showing their marked ballot papers to anyone. And this is one of the reasons why INEC has reorganized the polling unit to protect the sanctity as well as the secrecy of the vote. So vote buying will be reduced in the course of our elections. And that's Elections 101 in 5. Before we go, remember to locate and confirm your polling units before election day using the platforms displayed on your screen on INEC's website, on WhatsApp, as well as the text message platform that has been provided for you. And that's Elections 101 in 5.
Thank you very much, Samson Itodo. Now, we can never really get too much of passing information to you. I don't want to hear. I didn't now see the first one. It was spoken in this English. This one now happened, so now you know some of these things. So please, as much as possible, do well to vote and vote rightly. Okay, let's go to WhatsApp and see what we can have here. Good afternoon. I follow the site that said check your voting status, but they reply me with a red message that I should check my name and date of birth. What does that mean, please? Inang Gigi from Kaduna. They also add that he or she has been voting since 1999 and all the information has been correct. So what really could have happened to that? That's one. Let me take one more. Who is this now? Is asking me. My name is Maya from Jos. I couldn't get my voter's card and I tried checking my status on the website. It showed that I have not registered, but I did registration. What went wrong? Okay, maybe we should also take that first question and tell us the site to check our status. Yeah,
so if you want to confirm your voting status, you visit voters.inecnigeria.org. It automatically redirects you to cvr.inecnigeria.org/VVS. So you can go directly on cvr.inecnigeria.org/VVS. And of course, it doesn't automatically just provide you that information. You have to impute certain data. They would ask you for your name, surname, date of birth, yes, and then states where you're registered, and then probably the VIN, the last 6 digits of your VIN. It will ask you certain information that's already on your PVC, and then it would tell you the exact location of your polling unit where you're going to vote. It will also provide either your information is found on the database or information not found on the database. And then the issue around someone being voting since 2011, unfortunately during the mock accreditation conducted by INEC, one of those challenges we actually raised was the fact that people who have been registered from 2011 actually visited certain polling units and their name was not on the voter register. Two things could have happened. Either they've relocated them to new polling units. We have unofficial information saying up to 7 million registered voters have been relocated to new polling units.
Were they sent messages?
They were not sent messages. That is why you'd have to go and now confirm your polling units visiting the voters.inecnigeria.org to confirm your new location. This was not done. This was part of the challenges we raised, that INEC has the database of these people. Why not send them a mail or text message that your new polling unit is now in social location? This is in the effort to actually decongest some certain polling units. Initially, we used to have 120,000 polling units and 56,000 voting points. But now it has now been converted to substantial polling units, and some have been relocated to other locations that are expected to be more accessible to the people. So sometimes you go to, during the mock accreditation, people go to their regular polling units, and then they were told that they've been relocated to another
okay, so some know. For the others who don't know, they need to go and confirm that.
They are confirmed that visiting that site. And INEC actually provided a phone number where you can just send your name, your surname, your state, and the last 6 digits of your VIN. I don't have that phone number in my head now, but it's on INEC Twitter handle.
Okay, 2 questions. 240 polling units don't have any registered voters there. What's happening to those? Number 1. Number 2, I know of someone, and someone has written, who said that she has 2 PVC, and I was shocked, like, how do you get to PVC? She said she transferred from a state to Abuja. Getting to Abuja, she was issued another, and the previous was not taken. So how does it work? Yeah,
I would actually start with that. It has to be 2 reasons. Oversight from the electoral official there is supposed to retrieve the old one. In fact, one of the conditions for giving a new PVC is retrieving the old PVC, even though the old PVC is not supposed to be valid any other place because the registration has been transferred to a new location. In a situation where you collect your PVCs by proxy, which is also wrong, there are tendencies that the old one was not submitted before collecting the new one. Again, it's wrong, but it's only one PVC that will be valid for the new location where the registration is being transferred to. For the 250 locations where election will not hold, it's the commission had said no voter actually requested to transfer their registration to those locations. They are probably part of those new polling units that were relocated to other locations, and part of those reason it's partly due to insecurity. There are some of those locations that are ridden by security challenges, and voters did not transfer their registration to that location. It only means personnel and materials would not be deployed to those 240 polling units.
Okay. Many of these questions I'm seeing here still talking about, I couldn't collect my PVC. Can I go with my TVC? I have my VIN number. Can I still use it? If you don't have that card, that PVC, I'm sorry.
It's also important to mention that there are people that could actually confirm that their information was on the INEC database, but for some reason could not get their PVC. They went to collect their PVC and they were told it was not found, either for lack of proper sorting of those PVCs to know where it actually is, or what the commission has said, unintentional omission of some printing of some certain PVCs. Unfortunately, PVC collection is over, and then some people would not be able to vote for no fault of theirs.
What's the total figure we're looking at?
So we have 93 million registered voters. The commission is yet to release the number of PVCs that have been collected so far.
93 million registered voters, so we're yet to know the number of PVCs
that were collected, yeah.
All right, let's take this next feature, and this one takes a look at first-time voters. Some of them just clocking 18, while some of them are older, but voting for the first time.
This is my first time voting, and actually the reason why I decided to vote this time around is because I've noticed that it's not enough to complain about how things are, but you have to actually do your own little quota, and I feel like my little quota is voting this time around, and that's why I want to vote, to at least put in that effort so that if things change for the better, I'll be grateful for voting at this point.
This is your first time of voting?
Yeah, it's my first time.
Oh, so you get to tell me, how are you feeling like going to the polling unit on Saturday to go and vote?
I'm so happy, seriously, because I mean, enough is enough. I mean, the heat, people are passing through enough in this country, so we have to vote. Yeah, we're happy and we get to vote. We need to collect our country back.
So I'm ready for any kind of stress. I don't know how, I've never voted before, so I don't know how the stress is going to be like. I don't know how long the queue is going to be like. I don't know if there's going to be transportation, but it's just life camp from Kadokuchi to life camp. So I'm ready to trek. I don't mind waking up. I've already made arrangements for my son where I'm going to keep him overnight. From Wednesday, I'm going to take him somewhere. So I don't mind anything. I'm going to do anything to make sure I cast my vote this year.
I don't get PVC. Even if I'm not ready to vote for anybody, because anyway, I'm not ready to vote for anybody. I just do on my own. Nothing concerning the election.
I don't know, we had to add that last guy who say, send, care, just, I mean, when I hear people speak that way, I just wonder, like, then later we'll start complaining, and they will actually have the mind to join us and complain.
Yeah, unfortunately, at the end, your voting decision, in the end, people that vote would actually determine your leader. So whether you vote or not, the few people that end up voting will actually determine who leads you, and whoever emerges would actually make laws that would actually affect you. So why not own up and take that decision to vote on election day?
Indeed, own up and take that decision to vote. Please, I mean, I don't even like when someone that comes up with all boldness that I will not vote. I don't know. I beg, INEC, this year, I beg, INEC, this year, make una be honest with us for this election. No, Ojoro, I beg. If you not like, whatever, God bless everybody. Okay. All right. So hopefully there will be no Ojoro in this election. Well, by God's grace, let's keep our fingers crossed. And so gradually we're coming to the end of the program. There are a few more messages. I will skip these ones because they're actually talking about issues that have been discussed already. So if you are going to throw in a word or two for people who would wake up to go to, there is this thing circulated to say things you should prepare to go with: umbrella, sunshades, wristwatch, and everything. So what would be your prep tips for those who want to leave home to vote and say, I want to stay back and vote? What are the rules? What should be my guidelines? What should be the do's and don'ts?
So first things first, I think you should actually know your polling unit first.
Yeah, very important.
Locate and confirm your polling unit so that you wouldn't just get stranded going out. And then, if possible, if you can be there before the electoral official, be there so that you can be the first person to actually vote. And if you really do not have to stay back after voting, you don't have to stay back, and then you don't have to get involved. You don't have to stay back, because you can go online and confirm polling unit results. But of course, if you want to stay back, you have to stay in a very safe place to the end of the process to actually follow the process and ensure that there is no any form of manipulation.
How far should I stay from? I mean, how far should I stay?
A reasonable distance, reasonable and safe distance to enough to see what is happening and enough to actually be safe from any any unforeseen circumstances. So if you can go to the polling unit as early as possible, it is expected that your polling unit is not supposed to be far away from your house or where you stay. So if you can go as early as possible so that you can be the first to vote, it means you wouldn't stay too long on the queue before you actually vote. Yes, I've seen a lot of tips about, oh, go with umbrellas, go with small snacks, go with a canvas, and and all that. Nice tips and all that. But again, I want to de-emphasize the issue around seeing it as if, oh,
camping there.
Something is going to happen, prepare to run, be dressed simple and all that. It's an election, we're crying out loud, even though we know the Nigerian situation. But of course, at the end, you'd have to be safety first, actually. So go on time so that you don't have to stay long on the queue. Follow the process, understand how it means to actually vote right, so that your time at the polling unit will not end up being recorded as invalid vote. So understand the process, go on time, do the right thing. You don't have to discuss your voting choice at the polling unit, because people can get agitated and it can lead to violence in polling unit. It's supposed to be a secret, so you don't have to discuss your voting choice, knowing that you're not also supposed to campaign at the polling unit. Also, these are some of those tips, because it's wrong. When presiding officers actually arrive polling unit, first things they do, they remove all posters, campaign posters from that vicinity, because campaign, whether physical or verbal or on print or on TV, supposed to end 24 hours before elections.
That is like after 12 a.m. on Friday night?
On Thursday nights.
24 hours?
12 a.m. going into Friday morning.
So, okay, that is the whole of Friday. Okay,
so 11:59 p.m. on Thursday night.
Yes.
Because election day is supposed to be 12 a.m. on Saturday
What do we call
morning.
campaigning now? Because people on social media, who's going to watch those guys flying
again,
that's
around? Actually a major gap when it comes to our electoral law around campaigns ending 24 hours before elections, because there are seemingly no laws or no way to checkmate those online. NBC cannot, it's difficult to actually checkmate what is happening online, unless you want to shut down social media the way we did some time back. But then for radios, TVs, newspapers,
the traditional media, posters, all those things.
That ends 24 hours before election. So when you get to your polling unit, there's no point, you don't have any reason to be canvassing for votes or be sharing your voting decision with people.
Wearing a t-shirt. Okay.
Again, it's anything that would actually imply that you're canvassing for vote or you're influencing decision, not even
if I'm an observer, electoral, what's it called, observer for my party. I mean,
an agent
for my party.
So agents are actually recognized with their ID card and their tax, but again, it's actually to be on the safer side. You should not do anything or wear anything that would show that you are actually trying to influence vote. People even say if you're even carrying an umbrella, it should not be certain color and all that on election day, just to be on the safer side and just so that you'd be on the right side of the law. So you should understand the laws guiding what happens on election day, so that you can vote rightly and you would not end up be arrested by security officials.
Yeah, this was meant to be your last point, but very quickly I forgot to talk about the ad hoc staff. Some persons send messages asking, have the ad hoc staff, are they done training? Because I understand some places training had not begun, some had begun. What's the state, very quickly? So
INEC actually usually provide information on the training of their ad hoc staff. The last time I checked, sometimes last week, presiding officers were being trained. And then I also have a friend that is also supposed to be an ad hoc staff for election, and they were trained sometime from Thursday to Saturday last week. Yeah. So the ideal thing is, after the training, they do certain tests for them. They confirm who are the right set of people that would be deployed to polling units. So the best thing to say is that not everyone that was trained would eventually be deployed to polling units. It's just like you doing an exam, and then we release the list of those that are qualified to be deployed to polling unit. Everyone was trained. A test was given out. It was submitted. Few days to election, we're expecting between today and tomorrow. They will release those who will be deployed to certain polling units to go and preside over elections.
Moshood is a media officer. Yaga. Why do I want to say INEC? Yaga. I mean, you've answered so many of INEC questions, so I don't know. Yaga Africa, thank you very much for doing this.
Yeah, it's a honor to be here. Thank you for hosting me.
Even though you'll be working, please cast your vote.
Well, yes, I'll do that.
Okay.
I'll try my best to do that.
All right, and I'm joining my voice to urge you all to please do well. For those of you who have a PVC, do cast your vote and make sure it's peaceful. You do it peacefully, and if you're going to be there, make sure you stay peacefully too and don't cause any trouble. Stay away from trouble too. All right, you can watch the past episode of this program on NTA series on YouTube, or better still, you can follow me on any of my social media handles, Facebook and Instagram, Cecil Egbele, while on Twitter is Cecil G. All right, let's do this again next week. Bye-bye.